What if we told you what our parents told us about money was a lie, even though they really meant well?
They probably told you things like don't talk about money with other people, don't discuss your salary, talking about money isn't polite or correct.
But really, not talking about money isn't polite. Not talking about money is what has been holding you back. And today we're sitting down with Omar Eltakrori, and we're going to talk about how when you talk about money, you actually set yourself up for a bright financial future. Let's get into it.
So you guys would consider yourself financial experts as well as the clients you've served. Why do people 9 times out of 10 have a bad relationship with money to begin with?
I think a lot of times it is how they were raised, maybe, and we just weren't taught about money in schools. It's really, I feel like the school system has kind of failed us, and not to beat up on it, but most people get their financial advice from their parents. Their parents learn from their parents or maybe a friend, and so and in the schools they don't really teach us anything. They don't teach us about credit. They don't teach us about saving. They don't really teach us how money works. And so then then you have whatever things you've grown up with. And when we are working with clients, a lot of times we'll ask, what was your first money memory? So for me, I remember my first money memory when I really realized I needed money. It was about 1989. I'm a kid. I'm at our babysitter's house. They had just gotten a Nintendo. And I go home and I'm like, Mom, Dad, I need a Nintendo. And a Nintendo at the time is $100. And so they tell me, boy, you better pray. And so I can tell you my first money memory was like, hey, I need to really learn how to rely on the Lord, because I had to start praying for that Nintendo nonstop. Finally, I got it, and then unfortunately our house got broken into, and it got stolen a shortly while after. But that was growing up, my money memory was just like, hey, one, I need to be dependent upon God, but two, it's like money just doesn't grow on trees. So it also put something in me where I need to work for money, and often thought, hey, I'm working really hard for money. As I got older, I realized I don't need to work as hard if I can get my money to work for me.
Well,
But my parents didn't know about making money work for them, so unfortunately I didn't learn that at home.
yeah. And when it comes to money working for me, because I think people tend to believe that they need to make more to enjoy life or to be fulfilled because that's just the way we were raised.
Yes.
And I guess the question is, do you have to make a lot of money to be considered wealthy?
I would say to be considered wealthy, that means that you can maintain your desired lifestyle. You have enough money to maintain your desired lifestyle without needing to be dependent on somebody else to give you money or have to work. So you can just say, hey, I'm maintaining my desired lifestyle. I can do what I need. I don't need anything extra. My favorite example of this is I had a colleague who I worked with at a wealth management firm. At the age of 35, she was offered to be partner, to buy into this firm. She would have made millions over the next few years. She actually, on the day that it came time that she needed to sign the papers where, the attorneys had drafted up the papers, she came in there at 35 and said, I don't want to do it. She said, not only do I not want to do it, I'm putting a 90-day notice, I'm going to quit. And she was like, I'm going to start my own firm where I can travel. I'm going to buy a Sprinter van. I'm going to convert the van, and I'm going to start traveling around the country. My main bucket goals are to hike every state's national park. I'm a big Yankees fan, and I want to see the Yankees play every baseball team in all of the different baseball stadiums around the country.
Like follow the Yankees around.
Like follow the Yankees around. So does she need billions to do that? No. She could do that with hundreds of thousands, and she, with her own firm now, can make enough money to travel around. So she literally turned down a multi-million-dollar opportunity to go do what she felt is wealth for her. And so I think the thing is, a lot of times on Instagram, we see people, and it's like, oh, I have to live like them. I have to have a Ferrari like them. I have to have a mansion like them or a private jet. It's like, what does wealth really mean to you? And how can you implement that in your own life? And that is a different price point for each person.
That's good. What is your definition of wealth?
I mean, I don't know that you can really top that definition over there. I mean, I think in a lot of ways, wealth is being able to live a life that you genuinely enjoy, be able to provide for yourself and your family, give generously, and create some level of impact in your environment or your community, right? I think especially as people of God, like we're called to be generous, we're called to go out and make disciples. And I think in a lot of ways, when you're broke, you can't do that. Or when you're kind of in this state of survival mode, you can't really do that. And so I think having enough to live your desired lifestyle, but also be able to give, be able to be generous, and be able to make some sort of impact is like the definition of wealth. And that looks different for everybody. And I think that's the big kind of thing that the finance community in general wrestles with, because it's like, oh, you have to have, you got to invest to make $1 million. You got to be able to have the yacht or the car or whatever that is. Like, our definition of success is very one lane or
Right.
one version. And I think being able to really lean into your own vision and be able to make your money work for you in that way is kind of the definition of wealth. Like, being able to do what you want when you want, of course. But
good.
knowing what that is kind of a big part of it.
Yeah. No, what's funny is, because it sounds like in the same way our relationship with God, although could be passed down from our parents and our grandparents and our great-great-grandparents, that we still have to make a personal decision on how we ought to grow with our relationship with God. It's almost the same with money, because you're either inundated with what wealth looks like, or you are fed misinformation, or maybe it's the right information. But when we say things like, you must define wealth for yourself, well, if you're the wrong person in this season to define that, then you can desire the wrong thing.
That's
The
right.
desire is not wrong, but the direction of the desire is wrong. And if you don't know yourself, how do you even know what you want? Like,
Well, yeah.
yeah, I mean, what, like, how does someone go down that identity journey that before you even want to travel and follow the Yankees, before you want to go buy a Sprinter van and turn it into,
Right.
like, who are you to actually want that?
Yeah.
And where'd you get that from?
I think that's a big part of what we do, because my background is actually not in finance. So I'm learning more about finance. And Gabe is saying now that I can't not claim financial expert because I know more than the average person. But a lot of my experience, I was a corporate consultant in the tech space, spent a majority of my time as a change management professional. So basically helping leaders get their teams to adopt new ways of doing things at work is the simplest way to put it. And so when it was not a fulfilling career for me at all, but the principles that I learned in that space really apply to people with their money, because there is an old way of doing it, whether it's what your parents taught you, you don't know what you're doing, you're just kind of winging it. And then there's like a new way of doing it. And how do we get you from place A to place B, right? And so a lot of what we do is also the mindset work around, what do you believe about money? What is your vision? Like, a lot of people, we've talked to people and it's like, what's your personal vision for your life? And people are like, I've never even asked myself that before. Like, that's the first time I'm thinking about that. So a lot of our content, or a lot of the stuff that we do with our clients, is we actually do that stuff first. We don't even touch on the finance stuff until we've helped them kind of flesh out. Like, for example, we do this exercise with our one-on-one clients where it's like, what are some meaningful memories that you have? Like, let's just figure out what when you look back on your life, what is something that's really meaningful to you? We ran, Gabe will say more about this, I'm sure. We ran a client through this recently, and I usually run this part of it because it's a little bit more facilitative, and it's interesting what comes out, because the majority of it has nothing to do with money. It's like spending time with my kids, or, we went on this one trip, and, he had this realization that a majority of his most meaningful memories had nothing to do with him spending money on himself.
Wow.
It was like, we went on this trip with my dad and my brother. We went to the U.S. Open. My sister really wanted this perfume, and I bought it for her, and she was so surprised that she started crying. Like, that's the type of stuff that I recall related to money. And I'm kind of going around the bout here, but understanding those things about yourself informs how you spend money. And a lot of people spend little to no time in self-reflection, or even asking themselves those questions, because society doesn't ask you those questions. It's like, what's on my resume? What can you do for me? Right? And then, or we see it on social media, the cars, the trips, the vacations, and people are like, yeah, I want that. But it's like, they don't really want that. They actually just want to feel fulfilled in their career. And so a lot of what we do with our clients is based on that foundation. It's like helping them understand themselves better. One quote that we use all the time is 90% of our decisions are emotional. So even though you think you're making a rational decision, you're probably not. So you
Right.
might want to understand what your emotions are and what's coming out of that in order to make more informed money decisions.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I've been told, like my pastor, whenever somebody would come to them and say like financially we're just not making it, he'll say, "Let me see your bank statement," and then you'll really find out what's currently important to a person or what they think they need in the season or what they're wasting their money on, because I don't know, I'm just maybe in my life I'm 34 years old. Money has no longer become something I need to pray about giving away. I don't have to think about buying something. I process it with my wife, or it's just usually just that's like been removed. But I got here because I think at an early age, I listened to older people say, I went backwards. I worked really hard to give my kids the life that when they got older, we'd be able to have the freedom to hang out together. They're saying, no, it's the other way around. So you got to find the things in the life now that can give you the most time to spend with your kids, because I'm finding out I have 7 years to shape my daughter's life. So then like, she's turning 7 in 3 weeks. Toast. It's over, right? And then Neil has a daughter. He just turned 16. He's like, dude, they said 18 you lose your kids? He's like, bro, 12 you lose your kids. Hey, we're going to dinner, Kara. No, Jessica's coming over. You guys go. It's like, what the heck is happening? Like,
Yes.
so like, yes, they live in the house, but it's like they don't want to hang out anymore.
Right.
And then by the time they get old enough, it's too late to want to make that the priority. So I think in my life what happened is because I prioritized fulfillment, and that it does bring true fulfillment, and it's even guiding where my money goes now has been a blessing. And I think the biblical principle there is the leaving an inheritance for your kids' kids.
That's right.
And the memories I'm listening to is I'm asking Ruby, what's her memories? Like, what does she remember as a parent? And yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is your first kid, right?
Yeah.
You guys
Yes.
ever, like, how long you guys been married?
November 2021, so it'd be 4 years this November coming
Okay,
up.
4 years. You just dated the podcast. No, I'm just kidding. No. Okay, 4 years. Have you guys found your place yet? Like not your home, but like your place. Have you gone to a vacation multiple times because you're like, or are you still trying to find that place?
We're still trying to find that place.
Yeah.
I mean, we're beach people. She's originally from San Diego. I'm from Oakland. Of course, I don't want to vacation too much in Oakland. But we like going there. We moved after being married for just a few months. We moved to Miami, lived there for 2 years, and that's always been my place. After living there for 2 years and just kind of like the blow up that has had, we may not find it as relaxing, even though we like to go to the beach. There's just traffic and other stuff.
I
once
feel
you
that
live in a
with
place.
Orange County.
Yeah.
Like me and my wife love Newport
Yeah.
and the beach and shopping and all that stuff, but it's not restful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
So we're still finding our place.
yeah. No, yeah. And in that pursuit, we've tried Cabo, Cancun, Puerto Vallarta.
Uh-huh.
And then July, we went to St. George, which is just a 2-hour drive from here from Las Vegas, and got an Airbnb. And we saw the fireworks in Bryan Head. It's up the mountain 30 minutes. And like Ruby loved it.
Yeah.
And because she loved it, I loved it. And I actually love the idea that we don't have to book a flight to go here.
Sure.
Yeah.
And if this could be our place. And so, like, yeah, we got an investment property there. And
beautiful.
and it wasn't a place that I even considered when me and Amanda got married 12 years ago. But a lot of that came from the listening to the kid, which I think is where where our parents maybe, overlooked it.
Yeah.
Because we've been told, don't talk about money, don't talk about how much you make.
Yeah.
Money, when you talk about money, it's rude. Dan Fleischman, who's like a serial entrepreneur, he says we were taught that talking about money is rude, but not talking about money is rude.
Right.
Agreed.
And
Right.
and it's weird because it's taboo. If you start talking about like how much you make, how much do you want to make, what do you do with your money? Show me your bank statements. It's like, ooh, now it's almost like personal.
Right.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm saying all that to say, I love what you said about memory. It's like That is a great place to start thinking about where money should go or why you even do things. It should motivate what you do with your money.
It's like a softball for people to answer to. Like, there's like questions, of course, like, what's your personal vision? And people are like, I don't even know what you're saying. Like, what are
Right.
you talking about, right? Whereas we figured out, like, money memory, like, what's your first money memory and how has that impacted your decision making today? And sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. And then, you know, the meaningful memory, like, what do you want to, basically with this idea of like, what do you want to create more of? Right? Because a lot of people don't have don't spend a lot of time reflecting, don't spend a lot of time sitting down thinking about why they think the things that they think. You know, a few clients that we've been through, we run this challenge, and day one is personal vision. Day two is really around is really around mindset. And almost everyone that we've been through, at some point, whether it was a cliche mindset or a unique mindset, some sort of breakthrough happened. Like, the most recent one was we asked her to take some of the mindset work and put it in ChatGPT before the next day and to just ask it questions, and realize that a lot of her spending habits were tied to like her desire to feel like she was, you know, worthy, right? And she had no revelation of that prior to, and she was like, oh, maybe I can trust myself with money again. Like, it was like a self-trust kind of thing. And she was like, now that I have this revelation, I might be able to make different decisions. Whereas before, it was just like, I don't want to touch the money. Like, I just let my husband deal with it because, you know, I don't really trust myself. But she didn't understand where that came from. And then the next day, the financial piece was like, it was cake because the big rock kind of moved out the way.
So good.
And I feel like in a lot of ways, the more I'm involved in this business, the tactics piece is actually quite simple to learn. It's getting people to the right place, becoming the person that they want to be in order to set that vision and set those goals and then align their money with it.
So good.
I think like as you become the person you want to be, maybe even your own definition of wealth changes and what it is that you want to accomplish. Like when my friend Katie gave up, you know, the opportunity to become partner at the firm, I'm working at the firm and I'm like, hey, can y'all pass that to me? I'll take that, you know. But now, but I feel like my vision for myself and what wealth looked like for me wasn't as mature as hers was at the time, even though I was a year or so older than her. Whereas now I'm like, actually I wouldn't want to work at the firm. I like exactly what we're doing now, but also I see wealth in a different way. I don't just see it as of course, when you don't need to worry about money, it's one thing, but I just see what I see as wealth. I see more so not just money, but also time. Last year we had a situation where we needed to go tap in and help a family member. And if I was at a firm, I wouldn't have just been able to move to another state and go do that. Whereas, and also when I'm building a financial plan, I'm not like, hey, family member is sick, go be able to take them home on hospice. Like that's not part of, what I look at as like a wealth goal. But then after going through something like that, I'm like, oh, hey, this actually is a wealth goal because, I'm able to be there and be a blessing to someone, in a rough time in life. And so I feel like, even my vision of it has matured to where I feel like if I was answering this question in my 20s, early 30s, it would have been a totally different answer. Yeah. And so, we're constantly talking about, how can you even grow personally in yourself? Because, as you grow, then also your vision of money grows as well.
That's good. Who's your ideal client? Like, how much do they make? Would you guys have one?
Well, it is, so initially when we started Steady Worth, so I used to work at the last firm I worked at, new clients coming in. And so I used to work as a traditional financial planner. Like I'm a certified financial planner. I used to work as a traditional financial advisory where new clients coming in had to have a minimum of $1 million of investable assets. Most new clients were coming in with somewhere between 2 and 6 million. Our highest client at the time had about 40 million. We managed roughly about $500 million. And how traditional financial advising works is they charge you what you call assets under management. So they charge 1 basis point, meaning for every 1 million, they charge $10,000 a year. So somebody coming in with 3 million, we're making $30,000 off of them a year, and it's just reoccurring fees, and we build them a financial plan and a custom investment portfolio. My thought process for Steady Worth is, what about people who are, one, who want to have control of their own money, who maybe don't want to outsource their asset management to a financial advisor, or they want to be able to build their own financial plan, or they're like, hey, I have 100,000, but I want to figure out how to scale it to 1 million without, making mistakes because I don't know what I don't know. So we kind of built that as our client avatar, as like helping people be more hands-on with their money. Initially, we were just like, hey, somebody who wants to make their first million. But we found that our last couple clients have come in and they were already had made their first few million. So, but they just wanted to be more hands-on, and their financial advisor really wasn't there to teach them. They were more so there to do the stuff for them, and so they just felt like, hey, my financial advisor's talking over my head. I want to be more hands-on, but I can't really
I don't
be.
feel comfortable asking them questions when they answer. It's like in a different language still, and so.
So yeah, and at the end of the day, of course, the financial advisor isn't going to teach you how to do their job, because that's not their job. Their job is to, invest your money. So as a financial coach, our ideal client is somebody who wants to be more hands-on with their money. We have clients who have negative net worth, who are working to get out of debt. Some we've gotten out of debt. We have clients who have about a $15 million net worth, who just want to be more hands-on with their money. And so, we often say is somebody who has a growth mindset. Because once again, we look at ourselves as coaches. You're on the field making the play. We're on the sideline just coaching you on all of the, this is, helping you see your blind spots. These are all of the options. This is how they could play out. What do you feel is best for you, and how can we help you accomplish that?
That's good. I feel like, did you have something?
I was just going to say, a lot of people aren't necessarily overly stressed about money, but they feel confused or overwhelmed or unclear about how to make their money work for them.
Yep.
And, we were talking about this before we came here. There's two types of confidence when it comes to money. It's like, okay, I've outsourced this to this advisor who I trust, who's going to make my, get my returns and do all that. And then there's another level of confidence comes when you actually know what your money is invested in, how it's invested, and how all of that works to, kind of accomplish your goals. And we're kind of working on helping building that internal confidence versus the external confidence of I know it's being taken care of. We want to make sure that our confidence actually, if they never worked with us ever again, they'd still be able to learn, they'd still know how to invest, they'd still know how to create a financial plan. They would know what to ask a financial planner if they were looking to work with someone or outsource it at that level, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people get confused about what a financial advisor is.
Yeah, there's financial advisor, there's financial planner, financial strategist. We have CPA, we have tax strategist. It's.
And there's financial advisors who are insurance salesmen.
Yeah.
So it's you want to know what what your financial advisor, how they're being compensated. And so, that was the only thing.
But speaking of that, how do you know who to trust with your money? Do you trust big conglomerate, legacy brand? Or is it better to go mom and pop? And if you want to go mom and pop and go the coach route, how would you vet somebody or encourage somebody to vet the person they're going to entrust their money with?
Well, when you think of financial coach, financial planner, all of the different words, I feel like they can become really watered down. So when I often tell people, what you want to do is you want to ask them, how are you compensated for your services? Because if you can understand how someone is compensated for their services, then you will understand what it is exactly that they are going to sell you. Mm-hmm. So if you were to go into a Wells Fargo, a Charles Schwab, and speak to one of their financial advisors, generally they are compensated for putting you into a mutual fund. So they receive a commission for selling that fund. So if they say, hey, I am compensated off of commissions, then that means that they're going to sell you into a fund, because that's how they get paid. If you speak to a person who says, hey, I'm a financial advisor, but I really feel like you need this universal life insurance policy. So they don't want to say, hey, I'm a life insurance salesman. So they'll tell you I'm a financial advisor, but really they're trying to get you into a life insurance policy. At the firm that I was working at, we were a fee-only registered investment advisory. So that means we charged a fee. We didn't receive any compensation for any type of investments that we put clients into. So we charged a flat rate fee. And so no matter what they wanted to be into, the money that we were making wasn't connected to what we were telling to them invest in. At Steadyworth, we're financial educators. So once again, we're going to constantly tell people, hey, you need to be educated about finance. We don't sell any products. We only sell education. So that's the only thing I can sell is how to do something
Yeah.
and how, and the education you need. And so that's how we make our money. So if somebody wants an insurance policy, if they want to be in this fund, if they want to go buy an annuity, whatever, our fee is the same no matter what they want, no matter how much money they have. If they have $1,000, if they have $10 million, the fee is the same across the board. And so I say, you want to know how somebody makes their money, because then you can know what they're trying to sell you. And sometimes what they're trying to sell you might not really be applicable to your financial situation, but
Yeah.
you know how sales works. They have to sell.
Yeah, you got to make sure you understand how they are compensated and why they're compensated in that
Right.
way. Because somebody's just coming in, because everyone's sold on the same idea:
Right,
make more money with your money.
Yeah.
right,
So that's the idea. And then there's agendas that people have that could be self-serving, that could be beneficial.
right.
But I mean, I guess it kind of leads to a short story that actually, I think, creates an awareness as to why you need to get your money right. And that is, most people that make great money or have big wealth have had a big money mistake.
Yes,
And it takes a money mistake to start caring and realize that you're not going to do that again.
yes,
Unfortunately, it's really hard to have a preventative way of coming to that revelation.
right,
But for me, I lost $100,000 to a Ponzi scheme, and I'm grateful for it.
yes,
As weird as it sounds, I'm grateful that I lost that money because I realize that everyone has a level of money that stresses them out. So when we read in scripture that you can't serve God and mammon, the thing is, like, people serve money at different levels. So
yes,
people who don't have money a lot of times serve money at the level of the fact that they're stressed out every day because they don't have money.
right.
And then there's people that have a lot of it that keep wanting more of it, and that's a god too. I think if money stresses you out, or having it and it losing, if it stresses you out, it's a god.
Right,
And it was almost like a test, unfortunately,
right,
to realize that $100,000, even though it kind of made me uneasy for a couple weeks,
1,000%.
I realized that it was just $100,000.
Right,
Like I didn't lose $100,000.
yeah,
I lost $100,000, and it was actually the revelation of the devaluation of money allowed me to make more without being so emotional to attachment to it,
Yeah.
because
Right.
I just lost a chunk, but my kids still got to eat, and my house mortgage was still paid, and my pulse was still pulsing.
right.
But it took that instance for me to really take things more serious.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But
Yeah,
do you guys have any money mistakes?
sure. I mean, I've plenty of them. I mean,
Okay, what was the biggest money mistake you've ever made?
the biggest, the biggest one is in my early 20s. I just was spending out of control. This is before I knew I would work in finance, and I ended up having a Chapter 7 bankruptcy because it was like paying the credit card payments were more than I could just even handle.
How
Like,
much?
The minimums were over $1,000 a
And
month.
then-
I was
but
in
how
like
much?
$40,000.
$40,000 in debt.
Yeah, of consumer debt. Yeah,
Of consumer debt. And
that
you
wasn't linked to anything great.
and you filed bankruptcy.
Yes.
Which does what?
I mean, it's on your record for like 10 years. Yeah. Knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have done that, but I did it. And and so I was drowning in debt. I had to get out. I was just like, I can't do it. Like, I'll be delinquent. So
Okay.
I did that. But really, when I go back, and I remember at one point I was getting rid of something that I bought during that period. It was just like a pair of shoes or something. I didn't even wear them, but I just had this thing. It was like almost like a shopping addiction. Like, I wanted to go shopping, or I wanted to do this or that. I mean, some of it was connected to some legit things, like some doctor stuff. I studied abroad, and I didn't have the money, and I really wanted to study abroad, and so. Was it worth it? I don't know.
Yeah.
But looking back, I would have done a lot of things differently. But was definitely irresponsible early 20s, and I just thought things would shake out. Initially, also in my early 20s, I had a job where I was making a lot of money. I thought I would be able to go back to that job and remake all of that money. My money wasn't working for me at the time, and so and then I wasn't able to go back to that job and make all that money. So then I just was like, wow, I'm in trouble now.
Okay. Biggest money mistake.
Well, I think it's like a longer one because I feel like money for me had become like my provider in a lot of ways. Like growing up in my house, we didn't talk about it, of course, but you could tell. And my mom was really good about budgeting. She like master budgeter, could just, do everything. But kind of growing up, it created this narrative was like, when I get older and I have my own job, I just want to make a lot of money because
Yeah.
I want to be able to do what I want to do. I want to be able to go where I want to go. I don't want to stress about money at all. And funny enough, it didn't matter how much I made. Like from the beginning of my career to the end of my corporate career, I like 7x my income. And every time I still was as stressed about it as the time before, And so I was always trying to climb this ladder, but I was so unfulfilled in what I was doing that it didn't matter how much on the outside I was making. I couldn't, it was never enough.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to invest. I like accidentally, maxed out my 401k, which was great. So it's like, that's not really a mistake, but I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
And I could never solve the stress. So it was only till like, I got laid off in 2023. Yeah, 2023. Got like a huge severance that was like carrying us. And I was like, okay, great. We have plenty of time to like, do this and get the business going and figure out what I want to do. Cause I really didn't want to go back. And I felt like it's been like 3 years of the Lord just like kind of reshaping my heart towards money and what it can do and not do for me. And so it's not really like one big mistake, but it's like putting it in the wrong place and making an idol out of it is almost the most stressful thing you can do.
Right.
Because you never have enough. You never want to spend it. It's like you don't want to spend it. You don't know you don't save it. And it just was like constantly something that woke me up in the middle of the night and stressed me out. And I still to this day am like working it out, but I feel like the Lord has done like a really significant work around that, like to the same extent we're like devaluing it. It was like He's provided in such crazy ways over the last 3 years that is like, okay, my provider is not my own self-sufficiency in my job or my career. It's really the Lord. And so I feel like that's kind of like the biggest mistake is just misplacing it, like placing too high a value on it.
Yeah. No, it's so funny how money stresses people out when the goal with money is for it to remove stress.
Right.
Right.
Like use money to be less stressed.
Right.
Right.
But if money is an idol, then you don't want to use it as a tool to, because I read it. It's in I think the book is Who Not How. It's if you have a problem and you have money, you don't have a problem.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and from a business owner standpoint, even like wanting all the profits, but you got problems in your business. Well, if you just hired a person, use the money, and that person solves the problem, you don't have a problem. It's kind of like, it's funny because it's like, if there's anything me and Amanda fight most about right now, it's that she still needs to come many times to the place that she could pay for that. Something that we do,
Yeah.
like normal, like having the kids watched. Let's just pay for it. Or if this thing is stressing you out, don't do it. There's somebody that actually enjoys and gets fulfillment from doing the thing,
Yeah.
And it's a funny kind of flip thing that we need to do. You just use money to get less stress. It's like almost like, okay, you're stressed out about money. I dare you to use it to get a massage. I dare you to use it to pay somebody to do something that will give you back time that you can use to then.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't know if you guys knew this. I got this from Myron in Ephesians. It says, redeem the time, for the days are evil. Redeem the time, for the days are evil. Redeem means to buy back.
Right.
Yeah.
Buy back your time because we don't have that much time.
Yeah.
It's almost like one way to stay away from evil is to own money so much that you use it to buy back time.
Right.
Yeah.
And it really is if you operate in this, you will experience a very blessed life because you have unlocked the joy and the freedom of what money can do for you.
Yeah.
And so when we think about money as a tool or money as a resource to do stuff, life's just so much better.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Yeah, when we were flying here yesterday, I've been reading this book, The Bitcoin Standard, and it's in the part of it's not even talking about Bitcoin, but really what it was just talking about is our only scarce resource is time. It's like, we think of gold or diamonds as a scarce resource, but if we put more money into mining them, we could get more of it. But we can't put any more money into buying any more time than what we have. All of us are working with a finite amount of time. So how can we use the resources we have, whether it is money or just whatever it is that we have to really maximize the time that we have, such as your example with Ruby, in the first 7 years or, and also, what is finding that place so that, she comes up thinking, oh, wow, when I was spending my time with mama and papa, like, we were going to this place I really loved, and hopefully she's taking those rich memories into her teen years and also into her family.
Right.
And, and how can we, just, really maximize the time that we have because we don't know.
Yeah, like the only thing we don't have more of. Okay, I'm actually gonna try and challenge you guys on something, and I would love your explanation because money is backwards in this sense. You found yourself in over $40,000 worth of debt.
Yes.
And then you filed bankruptcy.
Yes.
And bankruptcy just put you in a position which didn't allow you to be able to borrow money.
Yes.
Okay, Dave Ramsey demonizes debt.
Yes.
Okay,
I can't.
but you just got let go off the hook
Right.
of your debt. You didn't have to pay back that 40,000.
Right.
So this tells me that money is fake, bro.
Yes.
It's just zeros on a screen.
Yes.
And so I just I'm just very dark. But what happens when people run up a credit card and then they pass away? The transactions took place.
Well, there.
What am I trying to get at, dude? I'm trying to put myself in so much debt and then run away, and just because money's fake.
Well,
No,
let me say,
Yeah,
if that is part of your financial plan, make sure you don't have any assets in your name when you pass away. So I'm actually going through this right now. So my
Okay.
sister passed away last year, and she had some debt, but she also has some assets as well. And so she has, most significantly, a few pieces of real estate. And so, I had those things put in trusts, but we're still having to go through the probate process because there was maybe a vehicle that wasn't in probate because it still had a car note on it.
Yeah.
And so when you pass away, you have to go through this thing where you have to list all of the assets that the person had, available to them at the time of death. And also you have to basically post a notice to creditors. And when I say you have to do this, I have an attorney doing this, posting this online, so creditors are able to reach out. They have companies who are constantly scanning for people who owe them money, because once she passed away, of course, I stopped paying those credit cards immediately. I'm like, I'm not paying this.
100.
Right. And so now the credit card companies are like, hey, this estate does have money in it, even though it's not probatable, but we know that you could sell this real estate and bring it in. So now I'm working to negotiate some of this debt. And so I was able to negotiate for pennies on the dollar. There was these two credit cards that she had that maybe they were combined, they were 33,000, and I paid 20% on it. So, there's these other ones, though. They are not. I was just on the phone with them last week, and they're like, no, we know that there's money in the estate. But I'm like, hey, I'm paying this out of my own pocket right now because, I was going to post the real estate for sale, but it hasn't. So, just kind of going back and forth to see how far I can push it. I'm like, can I offer you 20% right now? I can write you a check today. And they're like, no, we see that there's money in the estate that you guys could, sell it.
Even though it's in a trust, or they would still want.
So we had to list it even though it's in a trust, because things that are even in the trust, since it was not an irrevocable trust, it was a living trust, and she had access to it at the time. Now, if it were an irrevocable trust, it would have probably been different because she wouldn't have had access to it anymore. But since it was in a living trust and she still controlled it at time of death, they're trying to bring it in. Yeah. But to your other point, yes, money is really fake. It is just numbers on a screen. You can run up a bunch of debt. You can file bankruptcy, not have to pay for it. I mean, even when you look at what happens with the government, I've been really just studying money. You and I, we work for money. You ran a challenge earlier this year. You made $600,000 in a day. When the government can print hundreds of billions, if not trillions, in a day just by hitting a button. They didn't work for it. I mean, you got online and you ran people through a course. You went through a sales process. You sat in the cell. They don't need to sit in the cell. Mm-hmm. They're like, hey, this is part of our monetary policy. We hit the button and we print it. And every time they print that money, it actually devalues the money that you and I have in our pocket. So it's
Right.
like, is it really real? Because it's not really holding its value. And so, once again, that's
Yeah.
why we need to be holding assets,
Right.
because all of this money, I have the $100 bill still the same one in my pocket. But at that point, when the government is printing more money, it's only buying $70 worth of goods or $50 worth of goods.
Right. Yeah, no, it's just interesting because now I don't mind being over leveraged with my business. My business could be over leveraged, and
Sure.
I'd rather put things on payment plans as opposed to, because cash is king. So I'm over leveraged in my business per se, but it's because money doesn't stress me out anymore. It's like, I don't. It really does. It feels fake, and it's
Right.
like, dude, borrow 100K and use it to do something that you've been wanting to do.
Right.
Now, obviously, this is why we're in the whole thing, and this is why you guys get paid a lot of money to coach people. But it's just interesting because I'm not the biggest. I understand Dave Ramsey's philosophy is for most people, because most people have W-2 jobs. Most people are doing what their parents told them, and most people don't have a growth mindset. So he
Yeah.
has to say, save $1,000.
Yeah.
Even though
Say-
it's been that for 30 years.
Yeah,
Right. It
it's
hasn't
crazy.
been adjusted for inflation because he's been saying that $1,000 since like the 90s.
I didn't even think of that. That's
Right.
that's hilarious. I also don't vibe with him. I mean, dude, he's incredible. Dude, Dave
Yeah.
Ramsey, he's a genius. He's a leadership guru. Like, he's amazing.
Get
Yeah.
him on Debt Dave. We call him Debt Dave.
That
Yeah, so
Dave-
we say he's Debt Dave, I'm planning Gabe. And so really, so Steady Worth starts where financial peace ends. I feel like if somebody's in debt and they need help, go to Dave Ramsey. I mean, it's a cheap, financial peace is a cheap program. I mean, an inexpensive program. I don't mean to say cheap.
Yeah.
The wealth of knowledge in it is great. It's inexpensive. It can help get you out of debt. I know a ton of people who've done their debt-free screen. But once you are starting to make money and now you're like, okay, I'm out of debt. I have 60 saved. I have 100 saved. What do I do with this? Maybe I want to buy a house. I want to move to a different state. I want to quit my job and start a business. Now we're talking about how can we set up a financial plan? Because maybe the best thing in a financial plan isn't putting your money in the stock
Yeah.
market. I mean, I stopped contributing to the stock market for several years when I said, hey, I'm going to quit my job and start Steady Worth. Because at that point, the best thing I'm about to invest my money, but I'm investing in and starting a business. And
Yep.
so, so that's why, our goal is how can we connect your money to your goals? So if somebody told me, hey, I want to quit my job and I'm trying to travel around the world and just take a sabbatical for a year, I wouldn't say, oh yeah, you need to put your money in the stock market and get the S&P 500. I'm like, okay, for you, having cash on hand is going to be the most important thing in the next year.
Right.
So let's figure out how we're going to replace your income so that you can do exactly what you want to do.
Yeah.
Same thing if somebody were starting a business. Now, if somebody said, hey, in the next 5 years, I'd like to get married and maybe buy a house. I haven't met the person yet and I have no idea where the house is going to be at. Well, then for you, maybe, us putting it in the stock market, that may make more sense for you because, your time horizon's a bit further out. So our goal is constantly, it's not a one size fits all. It's like, what is your specific goal and how can we tailor something specific to you for that?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I also not the biggest fan of generosity or be generous is at the bottom of the baby steps when like generosity gets greed out.
Yeah.
And many
Yeah.
times the issue we have is simply we just want it for ourselves, and you learn how to give it away. And they say like people say money doesn't make you happy, but it does when you learn how to give it away.
Yeah.
The least stressed I've ever been is when I give money away
Yeah.
or buy dinner or we host people at our house. It's like my favorite, like our favorite thing to do is
Yeah.
just like, if we could do more of it, we would be so excited, right?
Yeah.
Like, of course, there's a level of stewardship
Oh,
that
man.
comes with that, of
I
course.
gave away so much money to my first church. It like irresponsibly
Right.
called it generosity, and it was just a little bit of a lack of wisdom. But God honors it. Hey,
Yeah, of
praise
course,
God.
of
It was
course,
good
but
soil.
It's like the least stressed I felt is when my friend, like I had a friend earlier this year who her dog got really sick, and she was on Instagram and she was like, this is like the benefit of having a financial plan and having your finances in order. But she's like, I can't pay for the surgery. Like anything helps. And I was like, oh yeah, $100, here you go. Like no question. And it's like the least stressed you feel is when you're just giving it to somebody who needs it.
Yeah, which
Right.
is crazy because what you're doing is you're removing the stress from the person. But guess what? Because you removed the stress from the person and
Yeah.
you did it with generosity, two people got the benefit
That's right.
of that money move.
That's
Yeah.
right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, Laura
Yeah.
kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but like when I think about, some of the stuff that I bought, whether it's a car, Rolex, whatever, and like none of that stuff, they've been great to have, but none of it. I look back and I'm like, oh man, I'm so great. I'm so thankful that I did that. But I feel like memories with people, money that I spend on people,
Yep.
in those memories, I mean, those have been some of the biggest things. Whereas all of this stuff, I just realized eventually I'm like, I have to get rid of it, or it's just like,
Yeah.
it's just, I remember one time I wanted this Johnston Murphy bag. It was like a leather bag that you would carry, like a cabin duffel. It's
Sure.
like a duffel bag. I went to the mall and visited this thing almost monthly. The people in the store, they knew me. They're like, "Oh, you're here to see your bag." And it's, I mean, even I remember one day walking in there, they're like, "Oh, you're here to visit your bag." I'm like, "No, today's the day. Get it down. We're walking out of here." And it's like a $450 bag, and this is 15 years ago. So it's 2009, and so and I was just so excited to get the thing. And then after I got it, I'm like, it's just not the same anymore. I ended up selling the thing on eBay like 3 years later for $250.
Yeah.
Like, it just, it just had lost its thing.
You know what? I love that you bring that up, because I found anything I overthink to purchase that would either bring me enjoyment at some level, serve me at some level, or serve my family at some level, is an opportunity to learn more about yourself. I say every buying or transaction reveals more about you than anything else.
Right.
And I have overthought buying watches. I have overthought buying a car. I have overthought buying a home. I overthought joining a golf membership. These are just things. Like, I mean,
Right.
yeah, they're things. Golf membership, nice house, Porsche, watches. But because I'm dwelling on it for so long, it's almost like, I mean, don't take this the wrong way. Shame on you for spending the hours going back to the mall
Right.
and checking out the bag
Right.
when the first time you saw it,
Right.
or the second, I'll give it to
Right.
you. Like, you left with not buyer's remorse, but you left with like leaving it remorse.
Right.
Just buy the bag.
Yeah, I should have.
And then you realize it didn't kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and then you get you get the revelation sooner.
Right. And I probably would have been, and possibly even enjoyed it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then
100.
Yeah,
And
'cause
this
yeah.
is just a psychological thing, because I've grown in my money mindset over
Yes.
over the last 3 or so years,
Yeah.
and it really the abundant mindset. Like, is there more than this bag? It's like, there is,
Absolutely.
And I'm just grateful for friends that are sanctified, like have the Holy
Right.
Spirit. They're like, Omar, just join the membership. You have the means. It's going to bless your life. You're going to meet somebody. It's going to and it's not even about the ROI, but it will have an ROI.
Sure.
Of course.
And then I also remember I did same thing. I was going to the house last year during this time. I drove to this house every other day for 3 weeks, and nobody was living in it, but it was on the market.
Yeah.
And I asked my friend, just like, man, he said, Omar, buy the house. You can afford it.
Yeah.
But my mortgage is that. But just do it, Omar. You're gonna hit yourself by this time spring, or by 6 months from now.
Right.
The house is gonna be worth this much, and then you're gonna have to have a crappier house or a smaller house, whatever.
Right.
Really, because money is a filter. I've learned you can just use money as the filter to get in a room, to be in a neighborhood, and we don't realize the effect that being in the right proximity of things. If you change the person you bump into at the grocery store just by simply changing neighborhoods, what's the difference? Money. That's all it did.
Right.
All that was just more money, and in this case, it was more borrowed money. Now, I know I'm like, it's because it's very deep, because there's a level of safety and wisdom we want, but I'm finding that fear and wisdom is a very fine line, and
Right.
people think they're walking in wisdom when really they're just being scared, and it's like, just buy it, and then deal with the thing later. And what I'm talking about is even the car that I got a couple months ago, I dwelled on it for 8 months. And like Neil, my friend, was just like, bro, just get one. Stop, And I found that when I did it, it was always like, wow, I can't believe I wasted all this time and I'm not saying don't buy something out of your means. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, if something connects with you, there's a reason.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, but and you can enjoy the stuff. It's kind of back to the stuff is just tools.
Right.
Like, that's why I buy nice watches. 2 reasons I buy nice watches. Number one is because it's like they mark us, they have a significance, and they kind of hold their value. I get it. They lose value. They're not an investment piece. The watches aren't
But
an
they
investment.
can be.
It
Yeah.
depends.
Sometimes they go up.
Alternative investment.
And then the second reason is it reminds me that it's amateur hours 24/7.
That's right.
Yeah.
Everyone else is just on amateur hours.
Yes.
But it's an opportunity to just break something off, and everyone is at a different level to that. Like, if a thing is consuming your mind and all it is just money to like do it, just do it.
Right.
Then get to the unhappy faster. Get to the revelation that stuff means nothing.
Yeah.
And that really, like, I should have gave this away, because everyone has to go through it.
Right.
You got to buy the second of something and be like, why did I get a second? I should have just had the one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, I'm an expert overthinker, and I'm working on getting through that dis-ease. But yeah, I can expertly overthink things. One other thing I got to add to your watch thing is that it also reminds you how much time you have.
Mm-hmm.
I have this watch that I inherited. It's an inheritance from my dad that I wear a lot, and it's a self-winding watch.
That's
It's a
fire.
Longines, and you have to wind it every day. And so it reminds me that every time I wind this watch, I only have 24 hours. In this day. How can I make this day? How can I make these 24 hours count? I lost my dad. Like you, I know you lost your dad unexpectedly. I lost my dad unexpectedly in 2020, and I remember as a kid, he was like, "Hey, when I pass on, this watch will be yours. This watch and this ring." And so, when I wear my watch and my ring, I think of it as it honors him, and he really gave me the freedom to go after this dream, to build a company. He was just like, I wasn't working on Steadyworth at the time, but he was like, "Hey, man, stay at home." He was like, "Save your money. Don't worry about paying rent." He was like, "I know that this job's not working out, or that one's not working. Keep figuring out what it is you really want to do and really go after it." And so, when I wind the watch, I think about how can I honor his legacy in this next 24 hours of time that I'm living? How can, because the platform that he gave me to stand on, he didn't know much about money and investing, but he did know, he felt like, hey, if I can just put you, he sent us to a private school. Not that the school was any better than public school, but in his mind, he was like, I want to give them the best education I can get them so that they can make it further than what I got, and so he was constantly like, keep tapping in, keep learning. I want you to go further than I went. And so, as I think about watches and time, I think, okay, I only have this certain amount of time, but how can I use this time to be a blessing for those who've come before me, but to make sure that I got this far?
Yeah, that's good.
And back to your point about like self-awareness and like becoming who you need to be, like another thing that we always ask people is like, if you're ever curious about what your values are or what you really care about, pull up your calendar and pull up your bank statement. Those are going to give you a really good idea of like what matters to you.
Yeah.
And if what you see you don't like, now you have the awareness to change and do something different, right? And so I think it is really important to understand that those two things are really just a resource, and how you use them,
Right.
Says a lot about you.
Yeah. No, it's so good.
And you can change that at any time. Like I remember for a while, like I wouldn't budget because I was too scared to see that I was broke and poor.
Yeah.
And at one point, Gabe was like, when we first started dating, Gabe was like, just sit down and look at it like you're not poor.
Yeah.
Like that's like in your head, because at that point I had gotten a job at a consulting firm. I got put on a client, and the client literally made a position for me, which doubled my salary. And so I got I like overnight
That's
doubled
crazy.
salary. And I was like, and that's another thing that like really inspires people to change is like when they finally make money, they're like, I need to do something with this because this is more than I'm used to, right? And I remember getting that first paycheck and being like, is that right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like,
That's wild.
like, and I sat down, made a budget, and realized I had, $1,500 extra bucks a month that I could invest, save, which ended up, really helping us out later in life,
That's awesome.
So it's like, you just got to sit down and look at it. Like,
That's
have
so
the
good.
courage to sit down and look at your bank statement, look at your calendar,
Yep.
and make the changes that inside you want to make, right? And a lot of what we do is just pulling that courage out of people too, because it's already there in a lot of people. They just don't have anyone to sit down and be like, go for it.
Right.
Most people are like, oh, don't do that, it's too scary, or
Right.
you know, they have their own limitations. Like, how often do you sit down and tell someone your big vision and they're like, yeah, you should do that.
Yeah.
They're like, no, that's too scary. You know, save
No, yeah,
up this or
it's
do this.
yeah, I think courage and creativity. It's hard to be creative if you have a lack mentality.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
You know, so my friend Neil and another friend of his are speaking at an event across the country. So we're in Las Vegas. They're speaking at an event in Florida. Neil thinks to himself, how cool would it be if we got a private jet and then sold tickets to fly with us for 5 hours in the sky, and between them two, their net worth would be hundreds of millions of dollars between the two. And he came back yesterday. He told me, he's like, dude, it's gonna cost $35,000 for the flight from Vegas to Florida, which is like, okay, I mean, that's actually not crazy, but he's gonna charge $10,000 a seat, and I want to be the first person to buy a ticket because I know how I can use that $10,000 seat.
The whole jet is 35.
The whole jet's 35 from here
Oh.
to there. Yeah.
It's not that bad.
I know. It's a good deal. There you go, Dave Ramsey. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I remember being afraid to buy first class. And then what happens is money controls you, and then for some reason you find that those that aren't controlled by money get to experience better experiences.
Yes.
And a lot of times it's just quality. Like, and I'm speaking from a real place that, like, hey babe, no, like, do the cheapest room, do the cheapest. So like that was like a place in our life.
Right.
And then it's like, one time I remember there was a Spirit flight, and I was just like maybe at a different level, and I was like, no babe, give me the big seat. You know, there's like 2 seats up front,
Right.
so you're not like
Yeah.
tight, and it's the most comfortable chair I've ever had, and it was on a
Yes.
Spirit flight, and it made my trip more enjoyable. I was at the front, which means I got out the plane the soonest.
Yes.
And because the flight was more enjoyable, I had more energy in the destination I landed in. And when you start putting, there's no price you put to those things. It's like it's all just like it's weird. I mean, you know, talking about cars, you know, I bought a Porsche 911 at earlier this year. And I don't know, I'm just scrolling Instagram, and it was like, here are the 10 slowest depreciating vehicles. Vehicle number 1, Porsche 911. I said, bro, that was a good buy, bro. But but we have another car that literally decreased 90% in value in like 5 years. It was an electric vehicle, you know. I'm just saying that there is actually a reason why people who aren't controlled by money tend to do even more. It's really abundant mindset.
And live more.
And live more and experience. Like,
Yeah.
what a cool experience. And then how cool, this is why selling is serving. How cool is it that now I get to experience something I wouldn't do myself per se, fly private, but I can do it at a different, in a creative way that will actually add value, and I'll probably be smarter at the end of this flight, probably.
Yeah.
Not to mention, I'll have cool photos and video
That's
of me
right.
being on a private. So then I'm it's using. It's just a tool.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
and all of those things compound the quality of your life. You know, like even with the car. I mean, I remember one time when I was a kid, my uncle had a 7 Series, and he BMW let me borrow it for the weekend. I'm like 22, and I'm like, people drive like this is. I mean, I'm driving a beat up Toyota at the time. I'm like, this is how life works. And so, I mean, if you love driving, you know, it's like if there's something that you love. If you love driving, have a great car. If you love eating great food, you know, eat great food. If you love doing both, do both. You know, if you like watches, have a nice watch. You know, it's
it's the concept of using money, knowing, and this sounds surface level as a believer, but it's true, that you can use money to make you feel better.
Yeah,
Right.
up in your quality of life.
Yeah, but enjoyment. When I just remember my first most expensive purchase in my life was a pair of Saint Laurent boots. I had no business, but in 2015 or 2016, I bought a pair of $1,200 Saint Laurent Wyatt boots. And when I put those things on, I felt like a
Life
superhero.
changed it.
I love it.
And I started,
Walked a little
it
different.
just walks a
Shoulders
little
back.
different. Now, this sounds superficial, but you could actually use money to make you feel and you could pay for confidence.
Right.
I had a conversation with Myron, and he bought a nice new home, and his wife wants to just gut the whole thing, and he's like, man, it's like gutting the whole thing is like just, it's not using money in a way that would like be most beneficial, like buying suits. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I use money to work for me, right? Let your money work for you.
Right.
But one way to do that is, he's like, I buy suits custom made to my body with great fabrics and like my logo on the inside. And then when people look at the suits that I wear, they wonder what I do. And they wonder to themselves, man, this guy must be successful. And it's like, there's all these things that what his money is doing for him is creating for people in their minds, understanding human nature. And it's using money even in that manner, you know?
Right.
But yes, all this could be wonky, avoid all extremes. And this is why most people, because, you know, if the stuff you're buying isn't idle, then that's when it becomes an issue. But when even the stuff, when you use the tool to buy another tool, then you're just replacing tools.
Yes.
It's just like a conveyor
Well,
belt.
I also think there's like a difference between it making you who you are
Yeah,
and it expressing who you are.
that's
Yes.
good.
Right.
That's a good
And
one.
like my mom used to always say, like, the clothes don't make the man make the clothes. Of course you can make that for different genders, of course, but you know, so it was always like, if I bought something that made me feel confident, that's an expression of me. It doesn't have to be my identity. And I think that's where
That's
people
good.
get things convoluted, especially when it comes to money, because it's like, well, this is, if I can't buy these boots, I can't be who I am, or whatever the story is around that. But it's like, if this is going to make me be more of who I am and and exemplify the identity that God's given me, like, isn't that a blessing? Like, it says we're supposed to be the light, salt and light of the earth.
Right.
So how can we do that and use money to be the salt and light, right? And I say this all the time, especially in Miami, because the dress code in Miami is like very
Crazy.
fancy.
Yeah.
Very fancy. All the women at business events are wearing stilettos, like really nice looking things. And I'm like, I gave up stilettos a long time ago. Like, it's just not my style. It doesn't make me feel confident. Like, I just don't like it. So it's like, if I'm showing up in a corporate setting or in a work setting, wearing something or representing something that doesn't feel connected to me, why would I wear it?
Right.
I'm not going to be confident. Like, I'd rather walk into a business meeting in high tops and a suit, you know, in a suit, and actually be able to talk and walk and, you know, have conversations, versus, you know, try and replicate what this environment looks like, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's where you want to just be really careful with that type of thing, is like, is this expressing an identity that I already have and know, or is this becoming my identity?
It's good.
And that's kind of how you have to ask yourself those questions
Right.
when it comes to money. And money is actually the best way to figure out, learn about yourself and learn about where your priorities are, where your values are, and what you're trying to do in the world.
That's good. All right. Can you guys coach me?
Let's do it.
All right, go.
What are some of your financial goals?
Right now, the thing that comes to mind is based on the home we are in, to have passive income replace active income. Like, I would love for just that stuff to be taken care of without having to use my mind to make money. Because I mean, that's how I always tell people that I traded mental freedom for time freedom. So although I have time freedom because I own my own business, it's 24/7 here.
Yeah.
But it's because there is bills that still need to be paid and things to be taken care of and all that stuff. And but yeah.
Do you feel like you're living a version of your, like, the vision that you have in your mind right now, or is there a bigger, broader vision that you have?
Yeah, I personally never thought I'd be this financially secure or blessed this early. I've been prophesied over my life as a young adult that I would find success and in business and things like that. But no, I never thought of like big picture other than, you know, they say like maybe just pay off the house. Like I've been told like, dude, just pay off your house, and I could do that. But then it leaves me cash poor, and I've had a few guys tell me, dude, I remember I paid off my house. That day was so emotional, and then it was the worst after that because when I wanted to leverage it, I wasn't able to. So it's like it would have been better to just keep the cash on hand. So it's like the moment is cool, but like ideally it's not bad. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm going in circles about. I haven't thought of it too much other than I can. It's hard because I do have time freedom, so I could do what I want. I brought my clubs just in case maybe after we eat, I might go golf. I might not, you know, like,
Just in case.
Just in case. So I don't know.
Like, would you change anything about how your current life is?
No, that's great.
That's great.
Yeah.
So 1 year from now, what do you want to say you have accomplished financially?
1 year from now, that I've accomplished financially, I don't know. I don't really have a financial goal from an accomplishment standpoint.
Okay.
So when you say that you want to replace active income though with passive income, is that something that you in the next year you would like to say, okay, well, if I made, you know, 2 million this year, I'm trying to have 20% of that come from passive income next year?
Oh, well, I guess, how about we do it this way? I have a friend who sold a business, and I was talking to him about this. This was now 2.5 years ago. And he was like, what's your number? I was like, what do you mean, what's my number? He said, what's your yearly number? What's your yearly number? I was like, dude, honestly, maybe like 150. Like if 150 comes, that'd be sweet. He's like, great, that's $3.5 million. Go get $3.5 million. You have 5 to 8 years, go get it.
Right.
And then that his mentality is from the standpoint of like a 4%, you know, return.
Like if you have 3.5 million and you draw down 4 or 5% of that each year, you could basically draw off that money, and then it would still be invested in the market and still regenerating it.
So that was his. So in my mind, I guess he gave me the first time the clearest picture. Mm-hmm. I guess you could say cash on hand. I'm a third of the way there, but at the same time, I don't know. Like I don't know. I forgot about it. I literally just got reminded of it now.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know.
So I guess my question. So then, since you're a third of the way there in saving it in cash, are you investing that money and making it work for you? Would be the
So I guess yes and no. You know, like we have 2 investment properties. Mm-hmm. 1 cash flows. Again, I could pay off this house that cash flows, but then it would just bring an extra $1,000 a month.
Sure.
I think it's just because also I could put more energy in the business and just make more money instead of just doing something like puts all this money in this house and then I make $1,000 extra a month. And then we recently got a house in St. George for our enjoyment, but it will be an Airbnb property.
Sure.
If it breaks even or loses a little, I'm actually fine with that. But that's an asset. And then the house we own right now. So I've been trying to park things away, and I want to show on paper that we're doing our best to claim as little income.
Sure. So I think from like the aspect of what your friend is talking though about specifically is he's like, get $3.5 million. And I think he means to put that in what we would call like a traditional brokerage account. And that is like an account that you can buy stocks and bonds in, and it isn't connected to retirement. So when you start investing in the stock market, there's a couple different types of an accounts. There's a Roth IRA, a regular IRA, and a traditional brokerage account. The difference between these 3 accounts is how they're taxed and how you can access the money. So in any IRA, a Roth or a traditional, you mainly access those after you're age 59 and a half because they're incentivized for you to save for retirement. A traditional brokerage account, both the IRAs are taxed at different rates. So the Roth, you say you make $100 now, you contribute $7,000 for the year. That's the max you can put in either Roth or traditional IRA. If for the Roth you pay, say if you make $100, you don't get any tax break. So you make 100, you pay tax on the full 100. You put the 7 in, it grows tax deferred. So then when you're age 59 and a half, you pull money out of it, you don't pay any additional income tax on it. The traditional IRA, if you make 100, you put 7 in, you get taxed on 93, and when you pull the money out after age 59 and a half, it gets taxed as ordinary income. The brokerage account, which is I think is where you would need to be at, is you put money into this account, you pay taxes on it. So let's say you received a capital gain, like you bought a stock, it was $20, you sold it at 100, you made an $80 gain. If you held that gain for over a year, you would have long-term capital gains. If you held it for under a year, you'd have short-term capital gains. Short-term capital gains are taxed at ordinary income. Long-term capital gains, depending on your income, are taxed somewhere between 15 and 20%. So I think where your friend is saying is like, hey, if you get a traditional brokerage account, you put $3.5 million into this account, it's split between a portion of stocks and bonds that you're comfortable with, and then you start drawing down 150 on it a year. In theory, with past stock market, the stock market has averaged 10% over
Right.
5 to 10 year period. So I think so he's saying, so then you could basically pull out the 150 each year. It was still that 300, that 3.5 would still continue to regenerate itself. You would now have passive income that you could pull, replacing your active income. It would also be keeping you in a lower tax bracket because you would only be taxed on long-term capital gains as long as you're selling positions to raise your cash that you've had for over a year. And so I would say if that was one of your goals, that would be one way to execute it.
Mm. How many people do you know do that or have done that?
It's really popular in the FIRE movement, which is called Financial Independence Retire by.
I think it's retire early.
Retire.
What, like that MLM?
Is
that an MLM?
I don't know what
Rest-
it is.
Oh, dude, there's people that will walk up to you at like Target here in Vegas or at like Barnes and Nobles and be like, hey, I got this mentor, and this mentor promised that I'm going to be retired in 2 years and I'll be financially free and all that stuff. And then they get people in the thing. I thought that was called FIRE, but I might be.
Well, I don't.
Or
I'm
is
not
this just
sure.
an acronym?
Yeah, there is
FIRE
like
is literally financial independence, retire early. That's what FIRE stands for. It's like an acronym for that.
Yeah, okay.
And so I don't know what I've never heard of MLM. We'll have to look that up.
and they're constantly
Yeah.
talking about, what's your number so that you can have a number and basically pull a 4 or 5% portion of that number and it continue to regenerate itself and you live the life you want to live. We have a client right now who's actually looking at possibly doing doing a version of this.
Yeah.
And so they're like, hey, we're still trying to figure out exactly what our number is. We don't know maybe that we want to fully retire, but they have maybe a more high stress job
Yeah.
that they would like to maybe go work on more passion projects to where they're still making money, but maybe not at the level that
That they're
they're
making.
currently
Yeah.
working at right now. So,
And that part of what where I'm coming from is I don't think, and I don't want to live in it, but I don't think it's going to be like this for a long time as far as what I'm experiencing.
right.
And that's why I want to be very wise with what we're making.
Sure.
In this, I mean, I feel like it's a 5-year window. That's what I feel, you know, and it could be long. And the seeds I sow, I know I'm going to be taken care of for the rest of my life. I don't even think I'm going to actually retire. I'll probably have a podcast till I
Sure.
die. But like, but from the standpoint of like, I don't know, like what I do, like I just don't know how long it can work or does work or
Right.
all that stuff. So that's where I'm like, that's where that number even comes from. Is
Yeah.
like, I feel like 150K with cars paid off and
Right.
things like that, we should probably be all right.
Yeah.
If I can't live off 150, I'd be an idiot. But at the same time, then inflation happens.
Well,
and
you
then-
have to
Right,
think about
exactly.
how that grows over time because
Yeah.
150 today is not going to be 150 20 years from now.
Right.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think our goal is to look at it from a comprehensive standpoint. So it sounds like a big part of your portfolio is real estate, which is great. How much of that is retirement accounts, investing, and then how do we get you to that place where if 5 years from now it's not booming the same way, you've built a nice little nest egg that you can draw from and maybe take a break for a while.
Yeah.
And then come back to it and then, figure out, where you've got more options.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with your friend though. If you have a solid interest rate on your mortgage, I'd put that money to work. And I mean, unless it's your goal to not have a mortgage, like my mother-in-law, Laura's mom, she has dreamed about not having a mortgage. So I'm like, hey, if that's one of your financial goals, you putting it there and not having to think about it is a great place to put it. Because once again, we're just talking about money being a tool for you.
Right.
And so, she's just turned 70 and wants to pay off her mortgage. Great, do it. But it's like, but if it's a different way and you're like, hey, I'd rather have this 700, 800 working for me and not just sitting here at my house. Because, when you think about a house, real estate's an investment, but the one you live in, you're technically cash flowing that
Right.
thing, unless you're renting a room in it.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like, hey, I could have this money, cash flowing, and we're still paying it off.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot. I think at the end of the day, like scattering it in stuff that is appreciating is obviously
Right.
All right. But we always want like the clearest picture in the world. But I don't even have like a 3-year or 5-year business plan. I've never had a business plan. I just live by principle.
Yeah.
Just tithe, give offering, be generous, serve people. I mean, it's been working really well. Anyway.
Is there any like type of goals related to like leaving a legacy that you would have?
Yeah, in our minds and hearts, me and Amanda would like to just give Ruby and Russell a property. Like that would be our version of that. If that could change, but I'm learning to be more of not the fan of just giving them something or just giving them a bunch of cash at some point in life, because like that won't. There's been studies of kids that get that and it doesn't work out really well. And not that I want to withhold anything, but I want them to get the skills. I want them to become contributing human beings to society. Yeah. And so when I think about potentially gifting Ruby on her wedding day a home, and then what she chooses to do with that home is on her and whoever she marries, then
Hopefully you've got
then
some
cool.
time.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I've like really thought through with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't really heard too many like, and maybe just because it's rare, it's just like I haven't heard of too many friends that have been blessed because of their parents setting them up in any capacity. And so I don't know how much is this just like the whole like legacy thing on a non-practical level doesn't actually play out because either most people don't do it or no one gets there. Or
I mean, I think it depends on how you talk about it at home, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is the conversation at home around contribution, adding value,
Right.
Money, all of that stuff, and how are you raising that up? I mean, we have a client right now who's pretty set up from a financial perspective, and
What does that mean? I have a client who's pretty set up on a financial perspective. What in what way? And
from an inheritance level. So, their family has a family business. I'm trying to figure out how to describe this without saying too much. Yeah, family business, but they have different trust vehicles and insurance vehicles to make sure that the business can pass on through generation.
Sweet.
They have different trusts to make sure that each kid will receive something very great and equitable. So it's like, it's not just passing it on to them, but it's also making sure they'll be taken care of tax-wise, just because, you can leave a house to someone
Right.
and then all of a sudden they're stuck with this huge, tax bill for the house.
Yep.
Because they get a step up in what they call cost basis and property taxes comes to the actual level. And so, so they have different strategy around how when the parents pass on, how the money will be passed from one generation to the other for each child, how it will be protected in a trust, how there's insurance money to also pay for this stuff to make sure that they'll be really set up.
Sweet.
Without saying it in too much
Yeah.
detail, just
Okay.
in case
So
they're watching.
my mom wants to give her house to us three.
Right.
Me, my brother, my sister.
Yeah.
From social media, sounds like from TikTok, it sounds like put the house in a trust
Yes.
and then give us the trust that has the house in it.
So the first thing is having the house in the trust will make sure it doesn't go to probate. So I don't know,
Define probate.
so Sure. And so probate is when you have a certain level of assets, and each state is different. So California probate is going to be different from North Carolina, from Nevada, Texas. Each state has a different probate law. But basically, each state has a certain amount that if you have above this amount, and generally almost all real estate hits that amount, that if you don't have it going to someone transferring it into a trust bypass probate. A will does not bypass probate. So if you have everything in a will, you have to go through the probate process to do the will. And the issue with probate is that the state gets a portion of
Dude, how
that
many
thing.
people get hosed because of
It's
ignorance?
It's really,
It's terrible.
really
Yeah.
rough.
And when you think about having a great estate plan, I mean, an estate plan could cost $3,000, $5,000, whatever. Your probate fees are going to be way more than that. I'm going through some probate stuff with my sister, even though her properties are in
Trusts.
trust, but the stuff that I've already spent $4,000 in probate just in the attorney I'm using.
Right.
Like they're probate attorneys charging 200, 250 to 500. You talk to them for 4 hours, you're $2,000
Yeah,
in.
We
That-
set up our
that-
stuff for us, and it was like $5,000 to all set up.
Yeah, great. And so you're already ahead. So with your mom putting
Sorry, we cut you off.
No, it's
though.
okay. I was just saying that's not including the time investment on his part.
Right.
Right.
Like the amount of time that he spent managing this, calling debtors, like figuring different things out. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like a part-time job.
Yeah, I would say, so from a parent perspective, I think it's great when a parent puts something in a trust, they spell it out to the children, and so everybody can understand, because that's really what divides families, is that once somebody passes away, then maybe people don't feel like they got something equitable in comparison to someone other. So if you have 3 siblings, I think,
Yep.
so it's like, hey, this is going to be split 33.3 or whatever, the equally amongst all of us. Then we just have to figure out how we're going to divide it up. At
Yeah.
that point, it's like, are we going to sell it? Is one person going to buy out the other 2 people? But mainly, kind of keeping out of probate, and then also who's going to pay to maintain it if we're going to sell it before we sell it. Because as you know, the real estate market can be fast and slow at the same time. So,
Right.
I have one property that my sister's I sold because I inherited it with someone. Another one we're selling. And so each month that it needs to be sold, the
Cost
mortgage
carry.
needs to be paid, the HOA needs to be paid, the insurance needs to be paid, all of those things on it. And so, and then also property taxes.
Yeah.
And so making sure that all of those things is kind of clear on who's going to do what.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I think my younger brother and his wife and 2 kids will move into it, but they want to renovate it, and that's their money. And I get that,
Right.
but I don't know. Part of me is just like, you guys have it. I don't,
Yeah, and I mean, and that could be a good thing. It's like, you could be at a place financially where you're like, hey, I don't even need this. Like, let me.
But
be
he
a
could
blessing
buy
to
me
you.
out.
Right, but you could say
I
that
could
too.
also be like, bro, buy me out, bro, before you
Right.
renovate this stuff.
But
Yeah.
you could say that too. So yeah, I mean, it all comes to personal preference. I mean, my sister, the one who passed away, we're all in a trust for our mother's house, or our parents' house, and she was like, if I'm still here, I don't think she was like, you guys can just have it. I don't want a portion of it. She's like, I have 2 properties, and unfortunately, she passed away, so her portion isn't going to be there anyway for her. But different people have different things. So she was like, hey, I don't even want to be included in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you may feel that way, and then just be like, yo, I'm good.
Yeah.
If someone is like, what do I do with this conversation, right? I mean, obviously you can book a call with us, find us at steadyworth.com, all that, happy to help. But it's like, set some goals that you feel excited about, that you feel some motivation towards, that you feel like give you some clarity about what you would want to do next with your money, right? I think
Yeah.
that's first and foremost. And then figure out, like, the financial plan, excuse me, is really how you're going to do that, like how you're going to accomplish that. We have a really simple online course that we sell that walks you through how to make one. And technically the videos are 60 minutes, but depending on if you've ever done this before in your life, we got some feedback from a client. She was like, you said it was only gonna take 60 minutes, but it actually took us like 3 hours over like 3 days, because they had to compile all their documents and get everything set up. Build some sort of plan that's gonna help you accomplish those goals. And really define what you want out of life. I mean, I don't know if you'd add anything to that.
Yeah, I think that's spot on.
But, a lot of people they don't have goals and they're not clear on them. So you never make progress on goals you're not clear on.
Yep.
Right. And so that's that's half the battle, really.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's just like a lot of it is just reacting. Like if
And
you told me a
don't-
year ago that I'd like from the next year between then now and then or whatever, that we would have bought 2 homes, I wasn't in the plan. There
Yeah.
wasn't a plan,
Right.
Right.
so we bought 2 homes.
Yeah.
I don't know, you know.
Yeah. Right. And how does that feed into your bigger life plan of
Yeah.
what you want to create with your family, how you want to pass this down to your kids, what kind of legacy you want to create in your community with
Yep.
your businesses, like all of that stuff matters because
Yep.
it's your life and it's what you're trying to accomplish. So how, like how can we help you do that
Right.
and exceed your own expectations of what's possible?